MILLBAY docks, Plymouth, in search of the mills that were at MILLBAY. Anyone coming back to MILLBAY from the 17th century would be pretty stunned to see what's happened here. But it's still a bay. It is still MILLBAY. I'm walking along Glasgow Wharf, and on the other side is South Quay. We'll see that in a little while. And I believe these two constructions are key to where the mills of MILLBAY used to be. Glasgow Wharf, once a very industrial area, is now a green public open space. What I'm thinking, is there any evidence of the mills under our feet here? Where could the mills of MILLBAY have been? I'm standing on Glasgow Wharf and I'm looking across to South Quay. In my experience, very often any constructions that are built in the sea are built on underlying rocks underneath. If we look at an old map of MILLBAY, we can see where the mills were, and there were basically two pieces of land coming in east and west. So my thesis is this: is it possible that this area now, Glasgow Wharf, that runs all the way along there, is built on an underlying rock structure, and the construction on the other side, South Quay, is also built on an underlying rock structure. And this rock structure we can see in the early maps. Mills would have needed an inlet and an outlet for the tide to fill the pond behind the mill and then to flood out and turn the wheels. Is it just slightly possible that the inlet we have here today is part of that structure? In my imagination, I can see that the inner basin here is an enlargement of the mill pond, and the structure I'm standing on and the structure across the cut here are built on underlying rock structures. These can be seen in the early maps, and when the mills were functioning, the sea and the flood tide would come up here and fill the pond, and on the ebb it would go out here. To me, this is possible. It's not exact, but I think I'm standing in the area of where MILLBAY mills were. Under our feet here would be the remains of those mills that gave MILLBAY the name MILLBAY. What do you think? Is it possible? If you know the docks as well as I know them, you will find that these two constructions have got stones piled up high on their seaward facing aspect. Was this how they were reclaimed from the sea and made bigger? This is looking west at South Quay, and it's exactly the same looking east at Glasgow Wharf. It's very, very windy. So I see the foundations of the MILLBAY being built on underlying rock structure here at the throat of MILLBAY. As time went on and the mills were no longer used, the basic structure was added upon by stones being piled on them, making them wide. This is very wide. And what was the mill pond was in fact the embryo version of the inner basin. This is why I love history so much. It's the imagination of what could have been, what could be under my feet. And in my imagination, I can go back to the 17th century and I can see MILLBAY as a lovely inlet with green fields around it. Wow, can you imagine that too? Thank you.